Hey, how are you doing there? Greetings. Canada, dear God, what is wrong with you? I love Canadians. I always wanted to go up there. Not now, though. Um, it's not funny, actually. I think there's only 2 Canadians that are still in love with what's going on up there. I think there could be 4. There might only be 2. It's interesting, the one person that's praising what's going on in Canada, it actually proves what I've been telling people now for decades, is that you can set your clock right by what is evil and wrong. It's kind of like the government. The government tells you this is bad, you know it's good. If this is good, you know it's bad. There's a couple Canadians that are emailing me. One of them actually, literally, I never read his emails, it said in glancing right before I hit the delete button. He's telling me to get the stab juice. Why haven't you got it yet? What's wrong with you? Saving effect. Sounds like Captain Applesauce Butterbean. It's saving effective. Come on, man. By the way, my ex-girlfriend sent me an email. I think she was feeling, low and lonely during Valentine's Day, which was, what, 2 days ago or 3 days ago? And I was like, she called me. I say hey to anybody. So, hey, how you doing? It's great. And she's like, she got to fly back to China to have a funeral for her mother. I just want to tell you this because, a lot of you tell me that you don't hear this stuff anywhere else. So what happened? Well, my ex-girlfriend's evil sister, that's by her estimation, talked her mother into getting the magic juice, and when her mother came home, apparently in perfect health and, led a very, very clean life, she just literally completely dropped and exited this world. Dropped and spirit exited the body, over with. When people say, oh, that's just anecdotal, Yeah, sure. How many anecdotals do you need for you to be able to put 2 and 2 together? Some people you just can't. They can't. They can't see anything. Those are the people you can't help. And I'm not interested in changing anything. I do like helping people, though. I wanted to talk about a few things that are ushering in a collapse. By the way, this is from 2022. This is from Nomi Prince. She predicted in 2022, along with her team, actually, that the U.S. economy is on track for a major economic crisis in 2024, and it looks like we're right on the edge of it. By the way, I've seen a lot of things from Canadians about their gas tax. Like one person said their gas used was $22. The tax was $23, and there's this other tax. I forget what it's called, the TM something tax. So it's literally a tax on a tax, which I don't know how that works. Canadians, I need for you to tell me how a tax on a tax works. And the tax on the tax is as high, nearly so as high as the tax. So you got the gas, the tax, and the tax on the tax. So it's like, well, we're taxing you on your tax because apparently you're using a lot of gas. One was like a gas bill for $360. The tax was basically the same thing again, and another tax, and so the bill was $1,200 or something. This bill, and this guy, this one Canadian, I've seen many, many examples of this. His bill was $133, but the gas he used was $22. So from $22 of gas used, his bill is $133, and apparently the Canadians will tell me that they're going to increase it again in April. So it's already completely off the hook, wackadoodle crazy. I just want to know what Canadians or any sensible American thinks about this. I have to ask the question to Canadians, and I love Canadians. I really do. I'm not picking on you at all. I really am not. However, I always had a little tete-a-tete with Canadians. We get free health care up here. It's like, no, you don't. You get taxed. There's no such thing as free health care. I want to sincerely ask, and this video is not about Canada, okay? Don't get me wrong. I really want to ask Canadians, Jesus, I mean, could you get any more tyrannical up there? And I know if you could fix it, you would, but I mean, dear God, how much worse is it going to get in Canada? I see countless videos and emails from people that are like fleeing to Costa Rica, Southeast Asia, anywhere. They're all desperate to get out of Canada. Tons and tons and tons of people. Like, I fled Serbia because of, you know, the horrors that were going on there, and now I'm trying to get back to Serbia or Africa or wherever. It's like, I can't put up with this anymore. You know, I left the horrors of my home country, and now Canada's gotten away. I'm going back home. I'm going back. I ask everybody every live stream about this, food prices and a few other things, and I'm asking you this too. Food prices, of course, have been going on now for years. They're completely crazy, but food prices in just the past few months have spiked like crazy. Have you noticed that? These special, very tasty two burger patties that I get that are made in Kentucky here by Kentucky cow farmers. The burgers, the two patties went from $5.50, and it was kind of expensive. They were like $3.90, I think, a few years ago. They went from $5.50 to $7. And I know someone's going to go like, we'll get 20 pounds of ground beef at Costco or something. Yeah, I could, but it doesn't taste the same. That's not my point, and people that say silly, nonsensical stuff like that are missing the point. I remember there's this cheap popcorn that I buy, a bag of popcorn. Well, make your own popcorn. Yeah, I know how to make my own popcorn. That's not the point. $3.80 bag of popcorn is the same one I always get, and I don't buy it that often. And $3.80 is the price increase from like 2019 or 2020, I don't know which. It's gone. I noticed now it was like $3.80 or $3.99 for a, not a very big bag. Now it's $6. I really, really do wonder. It's the only mystery of this universe, how anybody's making it. I kind of know the answer is credit and, you know, borrowing and more credit. Because, you know, people that have wife and kids, a house payment and a car payment, it's like, how are you doing it? I don't have a wife or kid or house payment or a car payment. And I'm struggling to make it. I'm asking you. Been asking everyone now, every month for years, and it's more critical now than ever. It turns out that this year people are going to get on average 30% less on their tax refund. By the way, there's new info out that the United States, and the graph is quite amazing. I don't have the graph to show you. But you can look it up, type in U.S. now has an 85% chance of major recession in this year, 2024. The highest probability of same since the Great Financial Crisis. This is based upon three completely autonomous metrics. One says 72%, one says 85%. There's three metrics. And the graph is completely off the scale that there's a huge pitfall coming this year. Everybody can kind of feel it. There's a zeitgeist out there about this. And listen, I am not a doom and gloomer. I can't stand it if anybody thinks that I am. I have no interest in that at all. I can't stand. Being prepared is the opposite of fear. Anybody says, well, yeah, they're trying to make fear, chin up fear in people. I'm not. I'm trying to get people to prepare. When you're prepared, you are not in fear. The people that are not prepared are those that are. You know, like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting this. Yes, because you had your head in the sand. You're too busy concentrating on your wife and your kids and your job. I get that, but you didn't take a step back and like take your blinders off and see what the heck is going on in this world. So 85% chance of serious recession in this year. Right now we actually have a credit implosion. I don't know if you know this or not, but I forget what the percentage is, like 98% or 99% of all taxes gathered from people are going to pay off the interest on our national debt, of course. Right now there's a huge credit default going on, and people are short. There's going to be a huge shortage, and I know it's happening. Of course, tax deadline here in the United States is April the 15th, so the mid of April. There's going to be a huge shortage. People are just going to fold up like a cheap card table. They're just going to say, you know, can't get blood out of a turnip. What are you going to do? Go ahead and bill me. Go ahead and take it. I haven't got anything. Go ahead and take it. Many pieces. We're talking about three-dimensional chess here, and the people that are actually moving those are pinning people into the corner. And a lot of people don't understand that they are being pinned into the corner. And you are being pinned into the corner. They're trying to do the same thing to me. The point is to always have options. You know, hopelessness is the greatest chain and shackles of any aspect of humanity. It's like you're completely hopeless, then you just cave in your will to whatever evil powers are out there. When you have hope, then you can't be caved in. You can't be cornered. You know, you're not... There's two types of cornered animals. There's the cornered animal that has hope and follows its instincts and natural law and can work its way, I'm going to use that, work its way out of the corner. And there's the other type of cornered animal that just has lost all hope. And those are the people, you can see that the life is drained out of their eyes. And that's what they want out of you. And it's making its way out there now. A lot of people have sent me a link to Ohio Sheriff Richard Jones. And do a YouTube search. You watch this complete interview. A man of integrity, Ohio Sheriff Richard Jones, and see what he has to say about what's going on and the countless warning signs that are out there right now on a lot of fronts that I actually would like to mention but will not. You could just watch the video interview yourself. I don't know if you know this or not. I don't certainly buy into religious bunk rituals, which of course they're all bunk. But this is not, you know, conspiratorial or tinfoil hat. This is confirmed 100%. Bunch of red heifers were bought in 2022, 5 red heifers. They can't even have a single brown or black hair or a white hair. Have to be perfect red heifers. And it's just a bunch of religious bunkum. But I don't care, you know, one way or the other. It's the intent behind it. They're talking about rebuilding the third temple. They have to have these perfect priests. And the specific spot to overlook the Holy of Holies. And I've seen the video where a guy is in the olive orchard and he bought the land. Somehow he acquired it. And for the year 5784, and begins at sundown. And that year translation from 5784 is Friday, the 29th of March, 2024, where they want to put it in short, and it's not the silly ritual or the religious hokum that's behind it. It's the fact that when people put this in their will and their hearts, they make it happen. It's called like manifest destiny. It's the same reason why people that were running around on goats and whatnot couldn't be defeated by the Soviet army. Of course, we gave them a lot of military hardware. We did, but they were undefeatable. It's like, well, how could the Soviets thought this? Like, well, you know, we have all this hardware and, you know, they're running around on mules and donkeys. They have nothing. I mean, basically nothing. But they were undefeatable because, you know, they had hope and they had it within their hearts to have a destiny that they would not be defeated no matter what the cost was. And, you know, to break someone's will is 98% of getting them to do whatever it is you want them to do. And they're trying to break your will and my will and everybody else's will. And it's kind of like, once again, setting your clock against... There is a good use, like a useful tool, in evil people that are always trying to deceive you and deceive me. They're kind of like children. They should be seen but not heard. But you can also, too, set your clock by them. It's like this person is the embodiment or entity or group, embodiment of everything that is against natural order and evil. And if they say it's good, it's bad. If they say it's bad, it's good. If they want you to do this, you shouldn't do it. And I've had people email me like that. So, okay, everything going fine in Canada. You know, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, oh, sure. You know, I've got countless thousands of Canadians email me. Every comment I see about what's going on in Canada is from a Canadian that's completely disgusted. Oh yeah, but you're in the 1/1000th of 1% of Canadians that think everything's fine. There's nothing wrong with this. Everything's good. I don't know what you're talking about. There's some Canadians out there. Oh, everything's great. Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. Could be better. These are people's like, oh, you think that? Okay, I'm glad to know that. Then therefore the opposite is true. So evil and extremely ignorant people like that they're actually useful tools. It's like you can watch them. It's like, okay, they say this, therefore the inverse is true. Thank you so much. If you're wise, you can use evil and corrupt people. It's like, oh, they just said this, therefore I know the opposite is true. Everybody I know with even less than a half a brain knows that there's a global shift that's going to happen in this year. Need I point out November 2024 of this year? When things start collapsing to the point where people that think they have authority, people that are so blind and so ignorant, when things become so glaringly obvious that these entities, and I'll let you guess who they are, that everybody used to imbue with authority, which they never should have had authority anyway. But there's no such thing as an authority in a debate, by the way. There's experts and novices. There's no such thing as an authority, which should be applied to daily life also. When these people get so robbed of any assumed authority that they drain off of humanity by and large, these people are just totally corrupt. When all hope is lost in these people that formerly held power, whatever you think power is, I'll let you figure that out, that's a matter for another debate, is gone, then what we're talking about is helter-skelter. These people think, well, I'm not going to listen to you. You proved last month, or in the case of some people just a few days ago, that you're totally without principles. You are utterly and completely corrupt. Why on earth would I listen to somebody so evil and horrible and corrupt and without principles? I will not pay you heed. I give you no authority. No part of my being will bestow upon you any authority because you deserve none. You have no cred whatsoever. It's kind of like the Cartman, the fat guy in South Park. Respect my authority. It's like, no, I'm not. You just become a joke. Kind of like Cartman in South Park becomes a joke. These people are even the blindest of humanity. I mean, so blind. It will become so glaring to them. It will literally like be throwing a flounder in their face. It is unavoidable. They can't deny it when things get so bad. It's kind of like that interview of the Iraqi leader, and everything's on fire behind him, and the tanks are rolling down. Everything's okay, don't worry, we're in total control. It's like, yeah, no. Everything behind you is on fire, and there's tanks rolling down the street. And he literally gave that interview. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that, but it was a meme for years, and it was a very funny meme. Homelessness and housing crisis is absolutely staggeringly amazing. What's happening in Canada and various other parts of Europe it's unbelievable. Here's something else I wanted to close with. There's all sorts of different places that have these really cute, they're not that big, but they're big enough. You know, big enough for a stove and a bed and a kitchen and a nice shower, these $10,000 tiny homes. I'm begging you to make a realization with what's going on in the world where it's basically impossible to think of buying a home, that here is a beautiful option that would make anybody happy. You know? In other words, comfortable. Very comfortable. Get yourself a $10,000 tiny home, $5,000 of land, $5,000 to $15,000, which in Kentucky will get you quite a bit. 5 to 10 acres, depending on where it's at, with road frontage. With water and power hookup available. $15,000. Another $10,000 for a home. Somehow you can finance or dig up the cash for $25,000, which will get you 5 to 10 acres and a tiny home. You'll go, well, it's not that big. Tiny home's tiny home. I need more storage. 2 to 4 storage containers on the back. You know, take a DeWalt jigsaw, a reciprocating saw, cut yourself a door in the back of the tiny home that leads into the storage containers. You get yourself $200 worth of spray foam insulation, or even just regular insulation. Pink fiberglass, I'm not a fan of that stuff. Spray the walls so that it's humidity and climate controlled. Get yourself a $2,000 nice wood stove. $2,000 to get you a really nice wood stove. Your heating bills are solved. You'll have 5 to 15 acres, unlimited amount of wood. $25,000 will get you everything. The tiny home, the 2 to 4 storage containers, the spray foam, the wood stove, the 5 to 15 acres. Everything regarding the storage facility and the tiny home, the 2 to 4 storage containers and the spray foam and the home and the wood stove and the kitchen and the shower, that's $15,000. plus 15,000. Another 15,000 for the land or less. 25 to 30,000 bucks. Anybody, even the poorest goober, can finance and easily pay off 30,000 bucks. I can't afford a home anymore. It's because you're not looking in the right spot. You need to be living outside the city. Who cares if you got to commute 15 minutes to go to work? Who cares? You got 5 to 15 acres. You are independent. You got land to stretch your arms out in and have dogs and pigs and goats and chickens, and that's a good life. You're like, I can't buy a home anymore. It's like, yeah, because you're looking in the city. You're looking for an established, regular home. You're just going to have to shift your philosophy on your home, and you'd be happier there than you would with, regular home with a bunch of screaming neighbors and barking dogs and car sirens and all the rest of the garbage that goes on being inside of the city. I mean, you just will. There is a collapse coming this year. To what percentage that collapse occurs? I say at a minimum 30%. There has to be a minimum of 30. What's going to happen in April? There's actually a lot of stuff happening in April. What happens when all these authorities completely lose all respect from everybody with 2 eyeballs and a half a brain? Everything gets rigged, kind of like loaded dice. I'll let you figure out what I'm talking about. Everything gets rigged like loaded dice, or a crooked poker game where the cards are marked on the back. What do you think happens when stuff like that happens? When taxes are due, 30% less average tax deduction, return, refund. Nobody can pay their taxes. Credit is collapsing. That happens in the middle of April. Yeah, that's when IRS taxes are due here in the United States. Mid-April deadline. You tell me what you think's going to happen. 2 plus 2 equals, it's really not hard math. That is not the mongering of fear. That's an establishment of what is and what is happening. I'd love to hear from you about things that are happening to you in your neck of the woods. I read every comment. I love soaking up information. You people are telling me countless things that nobody's going to find on any news feed, and other people too read the comments because they also too want to actually find out what's happening in the world around them that's in no way, shape, or form making any news feed. Remember what happened to the guy that's in the Siberian prison gulag? What happened to him? Everybody, what do you think about that interview with Rootin' Tootin' with Tucker Boy? Yeah, it's like I lived in Russia for... I know exactly what's going on over there. Tell me what happened to that guy like 48 hours ago that was moved from one colder prison to another colder prison. What happened to that guy? They won't even give over his cold body to his wife. Okay, his body's like, what? His wife's like, okay, now that he's been taken care of, please, wife and kids, please send. No, they won't even give over the body. If they do, I assume it would be cremated because, because then you could do an autopsy and determine cause of demise. All those people that were criticizing me, it's like, I know exactly what that guy is, old Rootin' Tootin'. I also, too, don't confuse government with people. I get along fine with Russian people. Ignorant people do that. They actually conflate a government with its people. When people are not given control over the govt, they become separate entities. When people have control over it, then you can criticize them. It's like, well, the people elected these people. That's not what happens in Россия. Ты меня понял? Speaking Russian right now. Ясно, как смертный грех? Ясно? Я вижу. Я вижу, что происходит в России. Наверно-то. Настоящие крепкие русские народы. That is not the government. The people is not the government, especially when they're disconnected, but it's a matter for another video. Hope you have a lovely weekend. I'm going to do some leather work. And everybody keeps saying, put your leather wares back in the back of the video. Like, here's a bag I made last night. It's made out of buckskin, deer buckskin. Anybody's interested, it's a medieval pouch made out of buckskin. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening.